Welcome back to another episode of Entrepreneurial Athlete. I am your host, Felicia Sanders, and I am your favorite business coach, where I help you grow your business from the start of your business and also the back end. I am your tech support, right? I help you streamline your business, getting things automated, all the things. And so today, though, we have a guest on Entrepreneur Podcast, and this podcast is where we bring on guests that are former athletes that are now turned entrepreneurs, and they share their story. And today I have an honor. I'm blessed here with Coach D to share his story, and I'm excited about this conversation to learn more about you, Coach D. And so, thank you for joining the show. And I always start with asking my guests the one question where, as you were an athlete, right? What is that one skill that helped you be a great athlete, right? But you have utilized that skill to grow your business. Like, what is that one skill for you?
Okay, well, first off, I just want to thank you, Felicia, for having me on the show. It's truly an honor. Um, but I would say for me, it was being able to effectively communicate. So I was the team captain on my high school team. And so with that, learning how to manage all the personalities, not like understand like you can't talk to each person the same way because what motivates one person may turn the other person off. So I would say that has really helped me transition in business because I feel like it's the same way because there are certain people on your team as you start bringing people on as your business starts to grow. There's certain things that motivate certain people and you need to understand that. So being able to effectively communicate what's the company's vision, what's the company's mission, what's our goals, what's our KPIs, and then also asking them and I would say including them in your dream and saying, hey, what are some things that you would like to see as we pursue this? Because now that gives them some ownership in what they're doing in the business as well.
That's actually a first, and actually, something I really didn't think about, is the fact that it helps you with communication. Because I know for me, when I was playing sports, people were trying to get that out of me. Like, I think for me, I was a leader. People were trying to force me to be a leader. A more
Mm.
outward leader on the court, and it was so hard for me to like step into that part of me. Now I understand why, but back then I didn't really get it. And so, was there like any adversity where for you it was like, or did it just come natural, where it's like the communication and knowing how to talk to people, was that a natural skill for you?
No, no, actually, my biggest fear was actually public speaking. So speaking to people in general, it always felt awkward. Um, but I would say what really helped me is that our coach challenged me. He would say, "Hey, man, I believe you have this in you." And I would lead differently. So it didn't mean like, "Hey, I'm yelling at these people in their ear." It was like if I saw a particular player that wasn't like meeting his fullest potential, I might pull him to the side after a timeout and say, "Hey man, like what's going on? What you need help with? Where you need me to get you the ball in your spots?" And players really respected that because our coach did the yelling, so they didn't want to hear it from another teammate, even though I was the captain. So I would always figure out what are the ways that can help me effectively talk to this person and get something out of them. Because I feel like for some people, when you do that yelling, it could turn them off. So then it's like it also gives the reverse effect where you were trying to motivate them, but you demotivated them by the way you communicated. And so that's why I believe that communication, especially in sports, is one of the most I would say critical attributes that a player can have. I'm not sure if you saw this, but even during the Super Bowl, they showed a very intimate clip. It was very powerful. A moment between Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, where Jalen Hurts acknowledges, like, "Hey man, you the reason we won today. You were the glue. You were the one player we needed that took us over the hump." And so to me, that's what an effective leader does. He didn't have to say that in front of the whole team. It was just one of those moments where the camera was right there, caught it, and like that's what effective leadership could look like.
Yeah, I actually did not. I didn't catch that part of. I was
Mm.
watching the Super Bowl, but I didn't catch that. But I will say that is important because I know I have like from a personal experience, more so in college. I definitely had like a when I was coming in as a freshman, you have of course captains already established, right? And I think where me I was very reserved, very shy. And I had leaders, I mean captains on the team where they did all that like that yelling and it was even belittling like a little bit where because
Mm-hmm.
it's like because of you, right? We're running. And that really that was I'm trying to say like that hurt my confidence in myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as you're speaking, when it comes to like that Jalen Hurts and I don't know the other guy's name, but
Saquon Barkley.
there you go. Him, he knew exactly how he needed to talk to his
Mm-hmm.
teammates, right? To encourage him and to just, feel supported, right? And I think that it's very important to do in a skill that is needed that actually doesn't get talked about enough. If I'm being honest with you, I
Yeah.
know for me, I talk about the being able to adapt and the resiliency and all the things there, but the effective communication is very very key from a coach perspective and also a player perspective as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you bring up a good point, but I want us to like shift a little bit, right? Because
Okay.
now let's talk about like the beginning stages for you when it comes to being an athlete. You
Okay.
started, well, not started, but you played high school,
Yes.
right? Basketball. And so what as you're transitioning, right? I know that you were pursuing professional basketball, but like piece together for us, like help us see how did you go from high school ball to pursuing professional basketball? What did that look like?
Yeah, so for me, it's a long story, but I'll keep it short. So, the only reason I even pursued like professional basketball is because I wanted to meet my biological father, and so I felt that the only way for me to do it would be to do something so big that if I made it to the NBA and I'm playing on the biggest stage, that he would want to come find me, right? And so that took me on this journey of one. It put a lot. I put a lot of pressure on myself to accomplish that goal. So I mean, I missed a lot of stuff in high school. Like I didn't do proms, I didn't do none of that. Like I didn't go out, I didn't go to the movies, I didn't go to the mall to hang out. I was focused. If it wasn't the gym or it wasn't my grades, like I wasn't even thinking about it. Girls, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was focused on I got to make it, right? And so got to a place I'm not getting recruited. I had opportunities. I will just be honest. My high school coach, even though I had a pretty decent senior year, he was not one of those coaches that was gonna, do the. And again, I'm dating myself, so this is like VHS.
Mhm.
You have to go put your old like demo tape together and then go send it to the colleges. Like this is not how it is now. You can't just put
Yeah.
a YouTube channel up and get it going. So it led me to have to go out and try to find opportunities for myself, right? So I went to St. Leo my first year. I got on the team and I was able to play, but it wasn't like play. It was like more so, what do you call it? Not red shirt, but it's the one like practice squad.
Yeah.
So I was on the practice squad, so I wasn't really much. And then they finally like, all right, we don't need you anymore, pretty much, because they had enough players. And so that led me on a journey too. I came back home because I at that point I was there to try to make the team.
Mhm.
And as far as grades, my grades were always good. I was dean's list on a roll, that was not a worry. So I came back, went to a small school called St. Pete, SPJC, which stood for St. Pete Junior College. Made that team. It was one of the hottest junior colleges teams in Florida, and something happened that I didn't even realize because again, when you're like 18, 19, you have no clue about student loans. You don't know how any of it works. I'm gonna just be honest. My mom did it all. So I was just so focused on, man, Mom, I need to focus on practice and I need to focus on, what I'm saying, these grades. Can you do this for me? And so got back. I'm excited. Coach like, hey man, you might even have some opportunities to play in the rotation. So I'm just getting excited, right? And then he calls me into the office like 2 weeks before like we starting to get ready for the season. And I'm thinking like, oh man, am I about to start or like what's going on? And he says, hey man, we pulled your transcripts, man. Your grades are phenomenal. Actually, he was like, you'll probably be able to graduate sooner than anybody else here. Uh, but the problem is, like, you have an outstanding balance with St. Leo, and you can't, like, that deems you ineligible to play. And so I was just like, no, man, I don't like, and again, I'm confused because I'm like, I thought it's all taken care of because I had, when we in Florida, so we have bright futures and all that type of stuff. So I'm thinking everything's good, and it wasn't. And so it wasn't until it was too late that my grandmother came to the rescue and she was like, I'll pay the balance off, baby. But it was too late.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm talking about you talking about crushed. I was just like, oh my goodness, crushed. I'm talking about she paid. She was like, yeah, I'll pay it off. And I went back told the coach. He was like, yeah, but it's too late. And with you having, he was like, the unfortunate thing is you're so great at school that you can't even stay here because it's a 2-year school. And now you have, once you finish this year, you're gonna have way more credits, and you're gonna have to go on to a bigger school. So that led me to go to Orlando, where I had some opportunities to play in some pro-am tournaments in Vegas. So we would go out and play in Vegas. Those were some good times. And I actually had an opportunity to go out too. I got invited. I played so well on one run that a team out in Sacramento asked me to come out there and play. And the only thing about playing pro-am is there's no money, so you still got to go get your job. And Sacramento, I didn't know anybody. So that scared me a little bit where it was like, as bad as I want this, how good would I be if I go to a whole nother state, whole other city, and try to meet people that I don't even know to pursue this dream. So I didn't do it. Sometimes you got those regrets where it's like, oh man, I should have went out there, but it's something you got to live with. But I feel like everything happens for a reason, and now we got some cool things happening, and it's led to us starting a business. So because of that, I started working at Nike in Orlando, and Nike was real cool about me going to playing these pro-am tournaments. So they would allow me to work as much overtime as I wanted. So that way, when I went there, I didn't have to worry about money. When I came back, it was more so like, hey, come back, rest up, and then come back to us when you're ready. And then I connected with someone. We call each other cousins now. And one of the goals we had while we were at Nike, and it's so crazy because we are literally living out our dream now, is we felt that Nike could be doing more. And it was one of those things like we knew Nike as a culture was tapping into us, the Black community, the athletes. But we were like, man, we feel like they could be doing more. So eventually that's morphed into closer to our dreams. So where we say, hey, there's no competition. How can we collaborate? So we want to work with the brands that are out there reaching out to us, but we do it in a way where we focus on helping the youth. We teach them about entrepreneurship. We even talk to them about, hey, like it's cool to want to be LeBron, but you understand that you have the same earning power once you become an entrepreneur, right? It's just understanding that you have that freedom to create and to do what you want as well. And so that's what we're excited about right now.
hey, just real quick. I know you're watching the episode, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit. I got to put you on game to something that is going to be huge for former athletes stepping into entrepreneurship. If you're a former athlete, you're looking to build or scale your business, you need to be in my school community. And I promise you, it's not going to be just some regular online group, but it's literally a network of all of us, former athletes who get what it's like transitioning from sports into business. And what that group is going to be called, Entrepreneurial Athlete. And I promise we know, right? We know what it's like in sports, right? You have teammates and you can level up together. And that's exactly what this community is going to be about. And so inside, you'll find some great stuff, networking opportunities with other athletes. You get expert insights, not only from myself, but from the great podcast guests that you are watching. You also get collaboration opportunities. It could be for building your brand or even getting some type of referrals or anything like that to grow your business. And then also exclusive events and trainings, not just virtual, but also in person as well. So check me out, check out the link of the community. You do not want to miss it. It's going to be down in the description below. That's awesome. That's awesome. And you mentioned about how you got crushed, of course, when it comes to like being able to play as you go and all that, and just just hearing that hey, you cannot, you can't play due to this because of the loans and you have to pay that off, but you missed the deadline, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you switch, right? You switched on to okay, that didn't work. Let me see what this pro thing got going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so was it like a seamless transition for you, like mentally, right? Like I'm just thinking about how as we're athletes, we do have a great skill when it comes to adaptability, right? We
Mm-hmm.
all play a sport where it's like you have to adapt to your opponent. You might have one player that's just like rocking, like they're scoring. I mean, they're hitting the threes, right? But you got to adapt. What can we do to stop this player, right? You adapt. So it sounds like from you though, you were able to use that skill from being adaptable to just transitioning. But was it that easy for you though? Was it really like, hey, I can't, this didn't work out, but I'm gonna just do something else? Was it easy? Well, it sounded like it was easy, but what was it in hindsight?
Yeah, and I would say it wasn't easy, but it was seamless in how it happened. So
Mm-hmm.
my god brother, his name's Alex Hill. He was also pursuing professional basketball as well. So we trained together while we were in Orlando. So basically, once that opportunity closed for me at SPC and I moved to Orlando, it was kind of like we were in it together. Like we hired a guy who trained pros. Like that's what he did. He worked with Vince Carter's cousin. So like this was the guy, right? So it was like almost like okay, this didn't work, so now we focused on training to get prepared to go play pro. And that meant if we need to go to Mexico or if we need to go overseas, it was like wherever the opportunity is, we're gonna go. And so when the pro am opportunity came, that kind of like fell in our lap, where it was a guy here in St. Petersburg, Florida, where we're from, and he just wanted to get a group of guys together. They're playing this tournament. He even fronted the whole bill because he just wanted to get out there and coach. Um, and that's what allowed it to be seamless. Where it was like, even though I was crushed that I did not get that opportunity to play on that team, because like that team that I had the opportunity to play on was probably one of the best SPJC teams of all time. It was a lot of local stars, and I was even honored that I made the team and was going to be able to get some playing time. So yes, even though it hurt, me being able to be around my god brother, and he's always like he don't let nothing bother him, man. He be like, all right, man, we on to next, because he's like, it ain't no time to sit here, and sulk about it. We just gotta pick ourselves up and go to the next opportunity. Because what he would always say is like, while we just sitting around playing, somebody's out here training. They out here getting ready for their opportunity so that when it does come up, they ready. So,
Yeah, and honestly, I really do like that you had that attitude, right? Where it's like you didn't really sit for too long, right? Because that's easy. Like,
mm-hmm,
let's be real, it is really easy to get into our feelings and just sit in that.
mm-hmm,
And allow like different opportunities or whatever to just pass us by.
right.
But I like the fact that you didn't go that route, right? You just kept it pushing, like you kept moving forward, you kept your bigger, because your bigger dream, your bigger goal was to play pro, and you knew that there are multiple ways to get there, because it's not a one size fit all type of situation.
Right.
You know, it might be nice to play at a college, go that route, but you know, God presents us different chips and you just roll with it and go with the punch. And so, but that's good. I like that. I really do. Because my story is a bit different, where I was a period of my time where I just sat in my victim mindset and I just allowed like different opportunities and all the things just pass me by, because I was just sitting in the, hey, it's everybody else's fault but my own. And so, and no right way to do it, but you were able to just keep it pushing. And so let me ask, because you also made sure that you were surrounded by people, right, that kind of like kept going, kept pushing you towards that goal. And was that an important aspect to you being able to reach your goal, like being surrounded by people? Was that something important for you to get after and go accomplish your goals?
Yeah, I think that was pivotal. And I think for anybody going through anything, anybody that's watching this, like I feel when we get in those moments, I'm just being honest, I'm not getting super spiritual on here, but I feel like it's the devil basically giving the opportunity for you to say, hey, I need to be alone. And so once you get alone, though, then there's no help, there's no support, there's no positive feedback coming in, because all you're doing is just sitting in your victim state. And what you have to realize is that as humans, we are built for communication. We're built to do life together. And so that's how we're designed. So whenever we go against that, it's more so like, okay, because yes, we do have people that are introverts, but usually that just means once they find their people, they want to stay with their people. It doesn't mean they don't want to talk to anybody. It's just they want to be in that group. And so I know for sure that really helped me. It allowed me to, like I say, not sit in it, not because I could have. And it was definitely that opportunity, because once I moved to Orlando to go to school, I had the opportunities, I had the freedom, nobody there really to push me. I had some friends there, but they were on a different path. So I had to stick with my god brother because our vision was the same. And I knew that if I stayed with him and just put our heads down, even if it didn't happen, it's for me, it's about the journey. Even now with because I have 2 kids. I love being able to share those stories of like, hey, because they have dreams too. And I don't want them to feel like, hey, they can't pursue them. Like, no, pursue your dreams, and I want to be realistic with them. Hey, sometimes it won't go as you plan. Sometimes you'll learn a lesson that will allow you to either do something better next time, or maybe you do the same thing in a different way. Because like you said, there are multiple ways. Like people grow up thinking like, oh, you have to go to a D1 school in order for you to get drafted or make it to the NBA. And there was one guy that really motivated me around this time as we were pursuing it, that I remember his story because they were talking about how I think it was an NBA scout had went to like some pickup games. Like it was just like a rec league. It wasn't even nothing crazy. It was just like a rec league, and they saw this guy out here who had immaculate skill. Just never heard of the guy, and then they were like they invited him to a workout, and that workout turned into a 10-day contract, and then that 10-day contract turned into a year contract. So, and like you said, there's different ways to go about it, and that's the
Yeah, I
powerful thing
love
in it.
that. Like I always say, you just never know who's watching, right? You always want to make sure, you bring your A game in some form. Uh, but let's talk about, right, like you transitioning into being an entrepreneur, starting your own business. Did you always know you wanted to start your business or a business, right? Because for me, right, like me, it was like how I was raised by a single mother, and she told me, well, hey, you got to go to a good school, I mean college, and then you're getting a job afterward, right?
Jobs. Yeah.
That's what I did. No, that's not a wrong idea. Like that's not wrong at all, right? But I know that's what I pursued, right? That's exactly what I did. And so what did that look like for you though? Like, did you start a business right away, or did you have that you want to like what did that journey look like when it comes to starting your business?
Yeah, so man, this is a great question for multiple reasons. So one, I've always had like the marketing head, like ideas, like just going. I'm talking about even at a young age. And so I've always had like the entrepreneurial spirit. Um, but like you, I was raised by a single mother, and she was like, "Man, you're gonna go to school, you're gonna get this education, you're gonna get you a good job, you're gonna work for 40 years, and you're gonna be good."
Yeah.
And so, but I always in the back of my mind, I was like, man, that just don't sound right. But so as I started in Nike, one of the things I did, because they don't pay much, but one of my side hustles was like I would find like shoes that I know would sell well on a restock or like re-up, because like in certain markets they don't have that many of them. So you buy maybe two or three pair. You can either up the price a little bit and make some money that way. And so that's when I knew I was on to something, because that business. We had multiple business. That business was called supply and demand.
Mhm.
A real simple name. It was supply and demand, and all that meant is like, all right, we knew these Jordan Retro 11s, they usually sell out. If I could just get two pair, like not trying to get 10 pair, just get two pair, and I know I can keep one for myself, and then I can flip the other one and make more money, right? And so, but that it's funny, but like that's the start of it, like being able to understand, like, okay, buy something, sell it for a little more. It's that simple as an entrepreneur, right? We try to make it like 10 times harder than it is. That's the human aspect of us. But that's as simple as it was. And so that's how it got started, with me doing that little by little. And then we started doing different things. And then I've been speaking for 13 years. So what I would do here because I'm not sure what city or state you're in, I'm in Florida. So in Florida, we do something called the Great American Teach-In. And so I would speak at that every year, no matter what. And I would always try to do at least two or three schools. And I would try to hit the kids at different ages. So almost like a little selfish, where I'm trying to talk to myself at those ages. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I want to go to the fourth and fifth graders because I wish somebody would have came in and talked to me about doing this. And then middle school, and then high school, and then colleges, right? And so that's kind of led to what it is now. And I'm really excited because I'm about to sign a contract with a speaking agency. And so now they book for me. So I'm really excited about that.
Wow, congratulations. That's huge, first of
Yes.
all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. And so wow, so you are so because my story is a bit different, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know I wanted to be an entrepreneur really until I actually met my husband, where he I met him in 2017 and he knew right from when he graduated that he knew that he wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like he knew that he didn't want to work 40 hours or 40
Mm-hmm.
years and
Mm-hmm.
retire when you're 65 and plus, who knows. But and so I didn't see that vision really until later on in life. But I will say though that it's really it's I don't know where I was going with that story, but ultimately though my story, like you already knew, like you knew pretty much early on that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. You had the bug in you, and I love hearing those stories because I hear stories like you already knew, and then I hear some people like me where it just took a little bit of time, right, to know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. But I'm sure though, like any type of journey when it comes to entrepreneurship, it is a journey, right? It's
Yes.
roller coasters, it's just up and down because there are skills that you have to obtain, right, and learn and grow
Mm-hmm.
from in order for you to accomplish the goals that you have.
Correct.
And it's important, right? I do believe that entrepreneurship isn't for everybody, But if you have that desire to want to become an entrepreneur, you will go through some things, and you have to fall in love with the journey of it all, because if you don't fall in love with the journey of it, unfortunately though, you will, you know, just give up, right? Because it's hard. It is hard, but it's a beautiful journey. I don't want to discourage anyone from going that route, right? If that's what you desire. So for you though, like you started doing I believe the term is drop shipping, right? Where you buy something and then you sell it for a little bit more so that you can get some profit off of that. And then how did that transition to what you're doing now with your business when it comes to helping other entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so it just transitioned because once I stopped working for Nike, of course, I mean, I wasn't really getting the same deals on, shoes and stuff. So I was like, what is something else I could do? So that led me to something that I was super proud of is we started mentoring at-risk youth in high school. And that literally changed my life because we got to impact, I would say, probably on the highest level, because these were the kids that were counted out. They were told like, "Hey, you got one more strike, and you're gonna be out of school, and then like we don't care about you. Whatever you're gonna do, you just gonna have to figure it out." And I'll never forget some of the relationships I was able to build because of being able to be a mentor. And one kid in particular, I always share his story because to me it's probably one of the best in the whole program. So when I got this kid, he was probably GPA was probably like a 1.2, 1.2. Um, and we just started, getting together. And one of the things is most kids gravitated towards me because I had a different approach than the other mentors. So I would try to talk to the kids about their goals and dreams, and then I would try to associate that with how they're behaving and how their grades are, and saying, well, do you feel that if you continue to act the way you are acting, you're going to reach that particular goal? And then they'd be like, oh, you know what, man? No, no. So this kid, like I said, 1.25 GPA, his goal was he wanted to play Division I basketball. So I started to play off of that. And then I was still young enough at the time where I could play a 14 or 15-year-old. And so I would get on, I say, all right, come on, let's go play. And that meant the world to him, that someone, even though, because sometimes adults look past kids and like, oh, what you don't know nothing, right? But I was allowing him to have a voice. I was allowing him to share his goal and dream. And if the teachers had known to ask different questions, they would have tapped into what this kid was dealing with. So again, he was 14 years old, raising his 12-year-old brother and another younger sibling because his mom was working 3 jobs. So I was like, okay, when you ask him why he's not doing his homework, well, did you ask him, hey, what did they eat last night? Or like what's going on? And I know, some like there's certain things teachers can't ask because of the way the system is set up. But I was like, if you guys understood that, you would know that's why he's not getting his work done. But him and I came up with a plan on, all right, let's just focus on getting you to a 2.5. So by the time we were done with that program, this kid had a 3.2 GPA. He was excited. No, he didn't never play on the team, so he didn't go and try to pursue that. But he did go to a JUCO where he furthered his education. And then one day out the blue, like I mean, even forgot I had given him my number. He texted me and he was like, "Man, Mr. Weaver, I mean, I think I want to be in social work." And
Wow.
so you like to get something like that to me, that's worth more money, more worth more than any money that you can get from it. It's just that impact of it's one kid, but that kid saw the value in someone just literally just taking the time to listen to him, understand, hey man, he's got goals, he's got dreams that he wants to pursue. And so that led to me writing my first book, Chasing Your Dreams, Bound for Success. And that was a story where I talked about how I used to hate my biological father because he wasn't in my life, and how that hate in my heart held me back from chasing my ultimate dream of becoming a published author. So in there, I talked about how once I was able to forgive him, it started to allow me to go through these different doors. And so then it became less about basketball and more about, hey, what is the impact I want to leave in this world? And so since then, we just been that turned into, okay, now we're going to start this company called Closer to Our Dreams, and we're going to impact different, I would say, audiences. So we have a youth program where we do a kidpreneur summit, and we try to do it every summer, where we'll bring in some of our local entrepreneurs. Last year we did it at my godmother's church. We had one of my friends. He is a big time real estate investor, so he came all the way down from Virginia and taught these kids how to invest in real estate. Now I was telling most of them like, hey, you may not get it this time. But the point is, we want to expose you to it and give you an opportunity to say, hey, today at Mr. Weaver's camp, man, we learned about investing. Like, hey, and then you go back and talk. We would always say your homework is to go back to your parents, your family, and talk about it. Have a dialogue, so that way you can at least say, hey, we had the conversation. One of my friends, he came in, he talked to them about stocks, and so we had the kids pull out their phone, and one of the moms said this. He was like, I have never seen my children using their phone for something so effective. So he had them pull out their phone and look up Apple stock. So we were looking up Apple stock and seeing how much it cost 5 years ago to what it is now, and showing them the difference. And like, hey, if you would have just invested instead of buying those Jordans for $200, you could have bought you, even if it's just one or two Apple stock. Well, if the Apple stock is going up $50, you just made $50. Or if you bought two stocks, you just made $100. So just exposing their mind to that, so that they can just start thinking about it. Um, just been a powerful thing. So that's kind of what led to what we are now. So I'm really excited, like I said, to be signing this contract, and we're just trying to expose the masses to what entrepreneurship can do. In my belief, I believe entrepreneurship can provide freedom. It's the freedom to, and this is another thing. You said something that was really powerful, where you say everyone is not an entrepreneur. And I'm not disagreeing, but I think they can be. Sometimes we have to realize that that person may not need to be the CEO, but they could still start the business. But maybe their skill or gift is they are amazing at cooking chicken, and maybe that's all they need to do. But they can still start the business, right? And then you have, maybe there's someone in their family that's like amazing at bookkeeping, amazing at, like you, back of office, right? And so then now you tap into that, and then you find someone that, oh, okay, they could be the face of the company. So I think the misconception with entrepreneurship, when you say, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, it means you have to do everything. And that's not true. If you build it truly the right way, you could build a team. And like, I'm excited now because now I got a nice little team of 8 people, where it's like when we talk about stuff, what I try to do is I try to tap into each person's strength. Hey, you love planning events? All right, so when we got an event, that's your role. And then you tell us what you need from us, right? And then that gives them that sense of ownership, like, oh man, he's trusting me with this. And so then it creates, I believe, a symbiotic relationship, where it's like, even though this might be my company, I want you to feel just as invested, so that way as we grow, you will be excited about it as well. And like how I have it positioned is, no one really works under us with Closer to Our Dreams. They're all their own brands, and we just all elevate together. And when I tell you the opportunities that are coming our way, like we get the opportunity to partner with Suncoast Credit Union, and what I say to them is like, they be saying, "Oh, we happy for you." I said, "No, it's us. Like it's not a me thing. It's not no, it's us. Because when I get it, I'm gonna make sure you got the direct connection, so that you can do the same thing as well. And I believe that's how we lift each other up, especially our culture. Because I feel like that's the reason we are so far behind, is because we have not tapped into man, we have to unify. We have to like, because that's what all these other cultures do. Like they are on times 10 with this. Like, hey, when they come to a city, they already know who they're working with. They know like where everything is, and so they don't even have to think about it. Yeah. Us, we got to go figure it out. Oh, who do this and this? Yeah. No, they come to cities knowing, right? And that's what it's about.
I mean, I think, wow, I love that because I think it's so hard. I mean, me personally, right? Like, where we feel like we do have to do everything, especially in the beginning, where it's like, it's like you see all these people, and it's like, oh, I have to wear all the hats, like, and it might be from a I don't have the finances, right, to I don't know, either hire somebody on to my team or anything like that. And honestly, you're challenging me because now I'm thinking like, wow, like I do see I've always seen the beauty of having more of a collaboration approach, right? Of like, hey, let's see how we can, like, you're pulling different skills of people, right? Like I might not be a social media person, or you're gifted at creating events, or you do public speaking. But like for someone like even selfishly me, how do you even form these relationships, or I mean these collaborations, where it's like, do you have to pay these people, like, or is there like like how do you go about that?
All right, so I'm gonna give you 2 hacks. So anybody watching this podcast, y'all gonna love Coach D for this one. All right. So there's 2 ways to do it. One, you have to understand that at every university there's a career resource center. Most students that are in their junior and senior year must complete volunteer hours, or they need to do an internship, right? So what you can do is you can reach out to the school and say, hey, I need someone that can run my social media. I would love to be able to bring in one intern that's their major, that's their focus, right? So now you get to tap into a younger audience, because they're going to want to come in and bring, what they're doing, what they're learning to your business, and you get to utilize that for free. All right. So I'll explain how we're doing that now. So I'm a graduate of Ecker College. It was a crazy situation how this happened. I was at Starbucks, my local Starbucks. I know a lot of the Ecker College students go there. I was sitting down, I had my suit on, everything. A young lady asked, oh, hey, what do you do? I shared like what I do. She's like, man, that sounds pretty awesome. I was like, okay. I said, if you like what you see, reach out to me. I will be looking for interns within the next month or two, right? So she reached out to me. She's like, hey, I really love what your brand, your merchandise, everything. I said, cool. I said, reach out to your professor and make sure our business will qualify for you to be able to do the internship. And so now this particular student is abroad in Spain, and she is about to be our intern for social media. So now we get to tap into that market, because she's going to be helping us do it while she's over there. And it's a win-win situation, because she gets to utilize us as a case study for whatever class she's in. So that's one way you get to do that for free. All right. The other way is, as you start to put on what's called like networking events, local networking events, and start sharing your vision of what you're trying to do, you will naturally attract what you need on your team. Naturally. Because when I tell you how all these, like it would take me probably 2 hours to explain to you how these 8 people have come into my life and become pivotal points in how we are building a business. And to answer your question, for some of them, I do pay. It depends on what it is they do. So, for example, we have an in-house DJ. So anytime we go somewhere, I got to make sure he's getting paid. So I'll pay him up front. Say, hey, I'll pay you to come do this event. And make sure the vibe is right in there. So he's taken care of. Now I might have the event planner where she says, hey, don't worry about it. I see your vision. I just want to help you out. She may not be able to be there, but she can help me with the strategy, right? And then I have an assistant. So there's different players on the team that do different things, and some of them get paid, and some of them are like, "Hey, don't worry about paying me now. Just once you build it and you get consistent with like cash flow coming in, all right, cool. Then we can start having that conversation." But the once you start sharing your bigger vision and mission and what you're trying to do and what impact you want to have, people are going to want to be a part of it, because as humans, we want to be a part of something bigger than ourselves, whether we want to admit that or not.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, like I think impact is so important, right? Like, we want to help, we want to all give back in some way, because at least this is how I operate, where it's like, I have kids too, right? So I want to be that example for them, show them that they can accomplish whatever they desire and want, they can do that. But two, also, when I leave this, when it's my time to go, I also want people to think like, wow, Felicia has done this for the Black community. She has done this and that, and that's important, right? Leaving some type of like legacy isn't always like what I can do for my family, what I can leave financially for my family, right? It's also like when somebody think back about you, what do they think about, right? Like that is what I constantly think about. Like I want to always leave that impact, because honestly, a side note is like what you put into the world is what you get out of it, right? And so I also want to give back. I want to, because I feel like I am a blessed individual, and that does not mean in finances. I just feel like I have been blessed with love and all the things, right? And just support. I want to give that to other people, right? I just want to give, give, give. And so, and I know that if I do that, if I pour into other people, that's going to be given to me right back, right?
Yep.
So nonetheless, though, I love the vision that you have. I not even just a vision, because you're doing more than that, right? You're actually doing the thing. And so, as we're like kind of wrapping up here, I want people to really know like exactly you've already explained it, like, but where can they go to find you? But also, before you even go into that, like, I want you to share, like, what is some last tips or just some last thoughts that you want to leave the audience with, and share to them on how they can improve and go about their life.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and I will say this. I'm gonna just share one because I don't want to overload you. If you want any other information, you guys can follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so if you really want to get me, catch me on LinkedIn, because that's where we're booking these speaking engagements. But the biggest thing I want to say to the audience listening or watching is that focus on the vision God has given you. Focus on the vision God has given you. And the reason I say that is because as visionaries, most people not going to be able to see it. Most people not going to be able to see your vision. And it don't matter if you try to draw it for them. It don't matter if you try to pull their leg and their arm and they not going to see it until you start executing. Right. So when I say like we are literally doing everything my cousin and I talked about almost 14 years ago, no, longer than that, 16, 17 years ago, is because yes, we had the vision, but we also putting in the work. We not waiting for nobody to give us a handout. We not even asking for help really. We like, okay, we need to get this done. Let's figure out how to do it. There's so many resources out here now. There is literally no excuse. None. If you don't know how to do something, you go on YouTube. YouTube is the best source where you can jump on there, figure out how to do something, and now you know how to do it. So my advice to anybody listening or watching is that for your vision, you must go ahead and put in the work. And don't worry about if people don't see it. And the reason I want to stress that is for the longest time I was I was killing myself trying to get people to see it. And I say the magic has started to happen when I was like, man, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. God's opening the doors. And I'm like, some of the stuff that's happened over the last 3 to 4 months, like I can't even explain it. But the main reason is I see the vision that God's given me, and I'm executing that. And whoever's willing to come along, great. And if they don't see it, that's also great. It's just understanding where you got to meet people where they are, right? And understand this. Don't let people, this the other nugget, don't let people waste your time. Your time is your most valuable asset. When I tell y'all I wasted so many years trying to do that, if I could have just said no, if I could have just said no to all the people, oh, I could just can I take you to coffee or can I take you to lunch to pick your brain? That's the big one. Can I pick your brain? It's like, man, I paid for a lot of the information that I know. I invested time. I done invested probably almost 250,000 in regards to time, education. Like this is like that's not something you pick somebody's brain in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That's something you got to sit down, you got to learn, right? So again, believe in your vision that God has given you, right? And then two, don't let people waste your time because that is your most valuable asset.
Love that. Thank you. That is great. I love that. So, I know that you have a book. I will definitely share that in the description. I'll find that book. Also, where can you say LinkedIn, right? That's the best platform to reach out to you.
Mhm.
Um, is there any other platforms that you want to share or
Yeah.
even like closer to your dreams? Like, where can I go for that?
Yes, so we do have merch that will be dropping soon, some athletic gear. So you can go to closertoourdreams.com. My designer is revamping the website. So once we'll probably have that up within the next week. And we actually have a killer mic drop I'm super excited about. Um, I also have a new book coming out the 1st of March, and that is the top 10 things I wish my mother taught me about money. And that one's gonna be like I'm excited about that one because it's a conversation piece. It's a way to talk about entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and leadership development. And if you want to follow our business page on Instagram, that is just CTOD, and you'll see a picture of a wolf, and you'll know that's us.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I will definitely make sure I put all of that information in the description so y'all could just click it and it'll go right into where you're trying to go. But Coach D, it is a pleasure. Thank you for all of the nuggets that you dropped. Honestly, I grew from this conversation. I've learned a lot, and I know that the audience did as well. So thank you again for joining our platform, our show, and we will catch you all in the next episode.